Accounts of what exactly happened at the scene of the Uvalde mass shooting have been shifting drastically over the past week. Now, CBS News has learned that Chief of Police for Uvalde Schools, Pete Arredondo, has stopped responding to state investigators seeking another interview. The circumstances have raised questions about how exactly the gunman was able to enter the school on that day. So Lilia Luciano is standing by in Uvalde with more to discuss. Lilia, that's the question that I was asking on day one. How did he get into the school? What do we know about that? And what more can you tell us about the investigation?
One of the latest pieces of information that has really been revealing in terms of how much confusion, how many agencies were involved, the kind of information that they're sharing or not sharing, who leads the investigation, which is right now the Texas Rangers, but then there's also the Department of Justice investigation. This latest piece of information is that initially we heard from Steve McCraw, the head of DPS, who was speaking with us in a press conference last week, that the way that the shooter entered the school was through a door that was left propped open with a rock by a teacher. Now we're learning through that teacher's lawyer that, yes, she had opened a door, but the moment she heard that there was a shooter, she went right back, closed it. That door is designed to lock once you shut it. She shut it, but somehow it didn't work as it was supposed to, and it wasn't locked, and that's how he got in. Of course, as you were mentioning, the focus right now of the investigation and of the questions and what everybody wants to understand would come from Pete Arredondo, who is the police chief for the school district. Why is this person crucial? Because he was the man in charge of the police response. Everyone I've spoken with, from members of this community, families, colleagues, and people in law enforcement who also understand, the standard procedure, have said he was the person in charge, but out of all of the agencies that were responding, including local Uvalde police, including DPS, the Texas Department of Public Safety, which includes, the Texas Rangers and troopers, and then Border Patrol, he has a small team of 6 people. He's just the school police. So how come he remained in charge and all those other agencies just kept him in charge and waited for his cue and accepted his call that this was no longer an active shooter situation and that it was now a suspect barricaded in a room with no one in there left to save? Well, the standard procedure, what we know now and what law enforcement people in law enforcement tell me, is that is how it works. That, there is one person who oversees, who has jurisdiction over the school, and they stay in charge. However, they can give up that leadership, or there can be a situation where the heads of the different agencies share those calls and share that lead. The other part of this situation that, or make the calls for what's going to happen. And of course, that call is now the most important part of this investigation, because in fact we know that there were children alive in the room calling 911. That 911, those 911 calls, we haven't heard the audio, but we've heard bits of them from police radio, from onlookers who were recording. And it's just so chilling and also frustrating for this community to hear that, yes, in fact, there were officers out here who were getting the calls from dispatchers. Now dispatchers are even getting death threats because of people calling in from all over the country and all over the world. I interviewed one yesterday who stepped in to help starting Friday, who say, we're bearing the brunt, we're being blamed for this, but we're not the ones who made the call, and we were sharing this information. So clarity is the most important thing right now. There are ongoing investigations, and the biggest union the biggest police union here in Texas has urged all of its members to fight back all of the disinformation and all of the misleading facts that are getting out there by cooperating in the investigations. But especially for this chief of police of the school district, whose name has been going out there, and while he was responding to something within his jurisdiction, there were other agencies there who maybe could have made different calls sooner. So he's not, he hasn't. I heard from DPS yesterday that he's not responding to their requests for a follow-up interview to answer those questions. We'll see if that changes today.
Well, Lilia, what I'm hearing over and over again is that there were systems in place, and some of those systems worked as intended, but they're not good enough. which will be sort of the next level of conversation I think we have once we figure out exactly what unfolded on that day. Lilia, thank you very much.